1850s, the caverns were open to the public. Gas lighting was installed, cars laid out, and a bandstand constructed. Many fetes and concerts were held in these mines, with entertainment provided by orchestras, choirs, and military bands. Coloured flares were ignited, and demonstrations of blasting carried out. Those events were perhaps a forerunner of today's classical spectacular concerts. And although some of the mines were accessible from the surface, many visitors came by canal boat, just as you have today. Since those times, technology has moved on, and we no longer have to risk the dangers of gas and gunpowder to provide light and sound. But imagine for a moment the awe and amazement of those early visitors as we present our modern interpretation of those events nearly 200 years ago.
Big steel plates up there now stop anybody falling in. But this was originally a drift mine. And that's where the miners would start digging in through the side of the hill. Got to remember 350 years ago when they started digging up there, all this was solid rock in here. And slowly start digging a tunnel through the top seam of limestone, digging it all out using the hands, picks and shovels, no machinery back in those days to help them. Once they'd extracted everything from the top seam up there, they'd start digging out and down. They soon realised further down they got, the more they needed to support the roof above them. This is why these huge pillars have been left. They'd cut all the limestone from around them, leaving these pillars supporting the roof. Each of these pillars is estimated to weigh between 3.5 and 400 tons each. The tunnel continues on down through the front of the boat there, continues on for another half a mile or so. Now it comes out underneath the grounds of Dudley Zoo. Right, we're going to pop the lights on now, so just mind your eyes. 3, 2, 1. Oh, bright lights. And if you can start taking your seats, we'll continue on our travels. The rest of our journey will be going backwards, as we haven't got room to turn the boats around down in these cabins. And this time we're going into the 1984 tunnel. This is another new tunnel that the Trust had built to allow us to do the circular trips around the mines. As you come in, you'll notice the pattern again on the walls and the roof. It's the same system that they used to build this one as they did on the 89 tunnel and the Moffat tunnel. Only this time they haven't sprayed the concrete over it. Very simple construction, big concrete hoops that go all the way around the boat, and you just bolt them together. It's the same system they used for the London and Paris Metro. And even the Channel Tunnel is a very similar construction to this one. Now, it was quite a big event when they opened it back in 1984, as it was the first tunnel an extension to be built on the UK canals for over 125 years. Right, as we leave the tunnel, we're going to turn all the lights off on the boat. We're going to put you in the dark. So get ready to hold on to your hats and take a look up above your heads. Ready? Look up. Easily, please. That could be the last daylight we ever see. Let's hope not. Over to the right-hand side of the boat there, you'll see the continuation of the Dudley tunnel. That continues on for another mile and a half, getting darker and deeper as it goes through the hillside. It eventually comes out at Parkhead, where the canal would have continued on round to Briley Hill, originally stopping up at the Round Oak Ironworks. The ironworks are no longer there now. It's all part of the Merry Hill shopping centre, if you're familiar with the area. The tunnel gets that small at the very far end. This boat literally just scrapes through. It's that close. Right, we're going to stop the boat here in Hurst Cavern now. This time, folks, on the left, if you wish to stand up and turn around, stretch your legs, this is your opportunity to do so. Got a little display here showing the miners mining the limestone out, working by candlelight in the late 1700s. Can you imagine working in conditions like this? It would probably be a lot darker than this as well, because you wouldn't have had the light coming in through that hole we've just come under. Can you turn your lights and flashes off, please? This is Arthur. Now Arthur's job is to load all the limestone onto the boats. So a boat like this would be tied up where we are now, and Arthur and his team would be expected to load it with around 30 tons of limestone. You'd have a couple of guys shuffling the boat forward and backwards so it wasn't all piled up in the middle, so they could evenly distribute the weight. Now Arthur would get his limestone from the guys at the back. Hey, look, Samson death. They're just preparing to blast another big chunk of limestone out the rock face. But before they can do it, they need to drill a hole through it. Now they didn't have drills or power tools like we have nowadays, so to make the hole, they'd take a big iron bar and then hammer it into the rock. Keep twisting and turning the bars it went in so it didn't get stuck. They'd knock it into a depth of about half a metre or so. They then pull the bar out, filling the hole up with blasting powder. And then do the strangest of things. They take that iron bar and then ram it back down the hole to compress the powder at the bottom. But what happens if you rub steel bar against stone? You can get a spark. So unsurprisingly, quite a few miners were injured and even killed carrying out this practice. Anyway, if they'd survived that, they'd pull the bar out and poke a fuse down into the hole. And then they'd take that fuse and run it across the cavern floor to the very far side. And they'd call the boss in to come and inspect the work before the blasting took place.
Get ready to blast! Stand clear!
If he was happy, he'd send everybody out of the mines. Well, everybody except for one person. Here's little Billy. 9, 10 years old at the very most. This would be one of you guys. Left down here on your own in the dark. And your job is to light that fuse. Normally a homemade fuse, so it wasn't very reliable, and regularly it'd go out. So they'd have to get up and relight it again. It'd go out again, so we'd have to relight it again, each time getting closer and closer to the blasting zone. Majority of the time he'd never have a chance to get out of the caverns before the blast, so he'd have to make sure the fuse was lit, and he'd run and hide behind the mine carts, crouch down, hands over his ears, praying that he was going to survive. You ready? One in 7 children lost their lives during this journey. Little Billy's made it though. He'd crawl out, dust himself off and crawl all the miners back into work again. Can you imagine the conditions down here though after the blast? Rockfall everywhere, cavern full of lime dust, fumes off the explosives. cold, dark, damp conditions. And this probably explains why the miners that work down here only lived till they're around 27 years old. Right then, let's get out of here before Arthur starts loading our boat with limestone, shall we? You can take your seats again, please, folks. We'll continue on our journey. Into the secret pits. Does anybody have school dinners? That's where they get the custard from. Some custard for the school dinners. Now, as we come back into this next section of tunnel, take a look at the bricks above your head now. All these bricks would have been handmade back in the 1700s. Handmade by the miners' wives and the miners' children. The children from the ages of 5 years old would be expected to go to work with the mothers down in the brickyards to make these bricks. There's approximately 8 million of them throughout the length of our tunnel, and on closer inspection, some of them were found to have little stickman drawings, little hearts and fingerprints that the children would have pressed into the clay before the bricks were fired and set down. Just come into Cathedral Arch now. This is a canal junction. Over on the left-hand side there, we've got 2 boats tied up. These are the boats that they used in the Peaky Blinders TV series, when they did quite a lot of filming down here for the first few episodes. If you look past the boats to the back of the tunnel, you'll see that third tunnel's blocked off. And that tunnel was the original tunnel down into Little Tess where we saw the first film. But unfortunately the roof collapsed in there, preventing anybody getting down into the mines. Which is why the Trust had the 84 tunnel and the 89 tunnel built, to allow the public to get back in there again. Now, back in the days, boats wouldn't have had any engines, which upon the surface wasn't a big problem. Because up there, the boats would be pulled along the canals by a horse on the towpath. Now, down here, we've got no towpaths, so we can't use the horse to get through the tunnels. So does anybody know how they got the boats through the tunnels? No engines, no horses? Yeah? Use the legs, that's right, and it's called legging. They have a wooden board across the boat and the 2 boatmen would sit there back to back. Put the feet on the walls and they work down the walls, propelling the boat as it went along. Now, it just so happens I've got a wooden legging board across here. So if we've got 2 teachers that would like to have a go at legging the boat through the tunnel, would you like to have a go? Yes or no? We've got 1, I need 2 of you. There we go. Leave your hats on the seat. Make sure there's nothing in your pockets that's going to fall out. Pick a side. Oh, you've got a dangerous side, haven't you? Sit on the boat, keep your feet on the edge of the boat now. Never put your feet down the side of the boat, always keep them above. You want to put your feet about half a metre up. That's it. There you go. Lean back on each other. You're pushing to your right hand side. Then you're pushing to your left hand side, and hopefully we should start moving down the tunnel. He's still got the handbrake on.
Don't think we can get the job started.
There you go. This boat weighs around 13 tons. A working boat would have been closer to 50 tons. And you'd be doing this for about 3 hours in complete darkness. Down the 1.9 miles of tunnel. Now normally kids, they'd have a bit of string around the bottom of the trouser legs. That's not to stop the trousers rolling up, that's to stop the rats jumping out the holes and running up the legs. Come on, I'll finish at 5. There we go, we're legging a boat through the tunnel. You get about 12 pence for doing this. And you'd have to share it because there's 2 of you. So you get 6 pence each for doing this for 3 hours. One last big push. That's it. And pull yourselves in. And a round of legging a boat through the tunnel. If you want it normally, you can tow the 3 boats together. So potentially pulling over 100 ton of cargo through the tunnel. Now believe it or not, back in the day, these tunnels were really, really busy. They were like the main motorway of the country. It was a massive shortcut from the north of the region down into the south. We have it on record in the Archives Office that back in 1853 there was over 41,000 boats a year being legged through these tunnels. Can you imagine that? 41,000 boats every year coming through it. Coming back into Castle Mill Basin again. Now this basin was originally a cavern and would have had a roof over it just like the ones we've seen today. But unfortunately, due to the way it was mined in the 1800s, they got too close to the surface and the roof collapsed, killing everybody down here. It's left a nice spot for our wildlife though. We're getting the herons down here most days. There's normally some ducks floating around, lots of fish down in the waters below us. And over the past few months there's been sightings of otters and kingfishers down here. It's a really nice spot for the wildlife. Hard to imagine, 200 yards behind the boat there, that's the main Wolverhampton to Birmingham dual carriageway. Right, just coming up on the left-hand side of the boat here, we're going to stop next to this big chunk of limestone. Got a couple of fossils in here that I'll pick out as we go by. Not the big scary dinosaur fossils, these are just little sea creatures and plant life. You look to where the arrow is up there. Can you see the arrow up on the wall? Can you see at the top there? Looks like a big Dorito with ripples on it. A big mollusk, that is. Down below it looks like a big round stone. That's a piece of shell. There's a big chunk of coral there on the bottom. Hundreds of fossils in this wall over the years has been taken out, with over 30 species never been found anywhere else in the world. Now if you remember back to the film we saw in Little Tess, that first film we saw, they were telling us limestone was generally made at the bottom of a tropical sea. Well, here's our limestone, so where's our tropical sea? Well, believe it or not, this here, all this rock around us here, this was the bottom of a tropical sea, roughly down where Brazil is, over 428 million years ago. Just to put that into perspective, 428 million years ago, that's almost 200 million years before the dinosaurs. Little bump on the front as he comes in. There we go. Coming back into Shirts Mill Basin now, we've got two mines in here if you remember. This time as we go through, we'll take a look at Flooded Mine over on the left-hand side, what looks like the old cave entrance. Now Flooded Mine's a bit like the Singing Cavern that we've come out of, only this time we're looking down into it rather than looking up out of it. This one here goes back into the hill 200 or 300 metres. Anybody want to have a guess why it was called Flooded Mine? Because it was flooded, that's right, yeah. And the miners that were working in there were generally working knee-deep in water. Cold, dirty water for 12 hours a day. Back in the 1600s, you didn't have waterproofs or Wellingtons, you'd have been barefooted working in there. So much for the good old days, eh? Look up! Watch out for the drips. So some of you may have noticed the holes in the walls here, the side of the tunnel as we come through. These holes were all part of the construction when they were starting building the tunnel, probably about 1.5 metres, 2 metres below the bottom of the boat, working the way up with the brickwork. And the higher they got, the more difficult it would be for the boulders to reach. So what they do, they leave a hole out, one on one side, one on the other side. They could put a board or a plank across there, and they climb up it and use it as a type of scaffolding to enable them to complete the work above their heads. Once the work was done, they'd cut the board out, leave the holes behind to act as weep holes. This would allow any of the rainwater pressure to filter through and drain up into the canals below them. And throughout the year we do several other boat trips. You've just done the 45-minute cabin tour. We do Right, we're just coming towards the end of the tunnel now. We've all survived. Have you all enjoyed it?
Yay!
Brilliant. So on behalf of Dudley Canal Tunnel Trust, myself, Ricky and Brian there at the back, I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank you all for your support today. It says we're a trust without your support, we wouldn't be able to keep the tunnels open for the future generations. So we really do appreciate that.
So there we are, peeps. A bit of an underwater, a bit of a under the Dudley Tunnel adventure. I think it's underwater then. Here it is. There's the new road, the Birmingham New Road. As I check the website, the times of the boats are running. I've paid £12 and I can come back for the next 12 months apart from public bank holidays. That's not bad, not bad at all. There is a gift shop, but there were a few people in there. But I will come back at a later date when it's a bit more quiet to take you around the gift shop. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, give it the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. It is free. And I'll catch you all on the next one. So, from the Dudley Canal tunnels, trying to be clever then and get it in, but from the Dudley Canal tunnels, I'll see you on the next one. Take care.